Welcome back, everyone. The question that we are going to be answering in today's video is whether or not we can build a horde mode using mob farms in Minecraft. While the recent edition of the Trial Chambers does introduce a horde mode-like concept to the game, I want to see whether or not we can take that to another level by using mob farms. Now, while we could use spawn eggs since we are in a creative mode, I think it would be more fun to use a mob farm because if I ever wanted to build this in a survival world, I would already have it all planned out. Because we are going to be relying on mob farms, I think the best place to build this will be over an ocean, because that way we can be sure that there aren't going to be mobs spawning outside of the area that we want them to go. For this project, I am not necessarily looking for the area where I'm going to get the fastest mob spawning. Instead, I'm looking for the area where I'm going to have to do the least amount of spawn proofing. And if you're looking to find out more details on how mobs spawn in Minecraft, I would suggest checking out a video in the description down below by NicoIsLost, who explains all of the rules in great detail, and it's super helpful. The first step in this project is to outline where everything is going to go, and the copper block below me is the center point of our project, and the line in the distance that you can see that goes in a circle around me is the furthest point at which mobs will spawn. So the mob farms that we are going to be relying on for this project need to go between this center point and that line over there. And I've gone ahead and marked where those mob farms are going to go with these blocks here, which are going to be 100 blocks away from this block in the center. Next, we need to add another circle, and this is going to be the arena where we are going to fight all of the mobs that are going to spawn in the farm. So we now have the basic layout for this project. Now it's time for some detail. The first detail to add in are the mob farms, and we have all 4 in place. These are based on a design by Gnembon, link in the description down below. And it looks like when we are in the center of the arena, we are getting mob spawns on all 4 of the mob farms, which is excellent. The only concern might be if we move out of range. So let's just see if we go all the way to this side of the arena. And yes, they do start to despawn if we're all the way over here. But I think that's going to be okay. I don't think that we're going to lose too many mobs if we do that. Plus, they're not going to be staying in the mob farm. We're going to have the mob farm running, and all of the mobs are going to end up coming down into the arena, so they're going to be pretty close and safe from despawning. The next detail that we are going to need to add in is a tube so that we can transport all of the mobs from over here at the mob farm to over to the arena. So I think what we are going to do, instead of having a tunnel that is 5 wide, we are going to bring it down to just be 1. And I think that's going to be a lot easier to work with down at the other end. So I put in the water like this, and I think this is going to work so that no matter where the mobs drop down, they are all going to come out this center point right here. And you can see these zombies have been very cooperative in testing this out, and they've made it out over here. Except that I discovered that spiders won't fit through a 1 block wide area, so we have to have it be at least 3, otherwise all of the spiders will stay over here, which would not be good. So to be sure that we are going to carry all of the mobs down to that end, we are going to first put in some ice right here. We are going to add in some signs as well, and put in some signs back here, and finish by placing in some water. So we now have the water streams, which are going to carry all of the mobs from the mob farm over to where the arena is going to go, and I've covered it up with some tinted stained glass, so that way the mobs won't die to the sun, but we can still see what's going on in there. But now comes the tricky part, because we are going to need some doors which block the mobs from coming out, but then can be retracted, so that way they can be released to enter the arena. And if this was only 2 blocks wide, it would be fairly easy to do, but because it's 3, we are going to need to have one side that's got 2 blocks and one side that's got 1 block, which means we probably need a piston that's going to be able to extend twice. So I looked up how to build a double piston extender, and that video is linked in the description as well. And this is what I've come up with. So we've got the door here, which has honey blocks and slime blocks on this side, but is going to be stone blocks on this side, which is good because we don't want it to show when we're in the arena. And as you can see, if we turn it on, the door goes across, and if we turn it off, the door comes back. But I think we need to put the redstone over on this side, so let me just make that quick change, which is now done. I've also built up this side of the door, and both sides of the door are now connected up. So if we use this one lever here, it opens, and once more to close it. Is this probably the worst looking redstone ever? Most definitely, but it does the job, which is all that I'm looking for at this point. So now that we have the mob delivery system set up, let's get that copied and put over here, here, and here. The next thing that we need to work on is a way for the doors to open automatically. But I want to do that with a little bit of a twist, because I want the waves of mobs to get increasingly more difficult. And I think the best way that we could do that is that the timer that will open up the doors will gradually get longer and longer. So that means that more mobs will come through each time. So here's what I'm thinking. What we'll do is have a hopper clock right here, and that's going to be running, and we'll have it set so that it'll have, say, 16 blocks in here, like that. And then in these hoppers right here, we are going to put some more blocks in as well. Now, what's going to happen, or at least I hope I can make it happen, is that when this activates, it's going to open up the doors for a short amount of time. At the same moment, it's going to send a pulse through here, and this pulse extender will allow the pulse to remain open long enough so that this hopper will send more items into the clock. And that way, when it switches back off and the door closes, the next time around, this clock will last a little bit longer. So the door will remain open longer and more mobs will come through, and then it will remain shut longer, allowing more time to get all of the mobs that went through that time. So let's start by testing to see how long this clock will work and how long the door will stay open. We're going to start with 8 items, and let's turn that. And we should start to see, yep, that went over. And we need to get rid of this lever right here. So there we go. So the doors are open, and in a short amount of time, they should close again. Let's see. Come on. Or not. So now we should see it where this door is opening and shutting and staying open for a short amount of time and shut for a short amount of time. But 8 items is definitely not enough. So now I've put in 32. That's definitely feeling better. There we go. Okay. Yeah, that's a good amount of time because that'll leave enough for mobs to come through and enough time to then fight those mobs as well. So I now have the system set up so that we can add more time to it. And what we're going to do is to test it out. We've got 64 slabs here. We're going to put in 8 right here, and then we're going to turn it on. And what we'll see is that the door is going to open. And then when it opens, it's going to start adding more blocks to the timer. So the timer will get longer each time. And if we let it go a couple of times, we'll be able to see how much has gone through. So you can see that it's already starting to take more time for it to open and close. And then if we go over here to the chest, you can see we have 34 left. And then when it comes through again, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so it switches. The pulse comes through. Items are leaving this chest and ending up down in the hopper, making the timer longer. So now we need to connect up the rest of the doors to our clock here. So let's place some redstone and repeaters and get these all connected up. So with everything hooked up, we can now start to see all of the doors are open and whoa, what's going on over here? So I don't know what was going on with this piston because all of these circuits are exactly the same, but for some reason, anytime it was not powered, the piston was not being updated, so it wasn't retracting. But I moved things around a little bit, so now we've got the redstone going up right here, and then these target blocks are behind the piston, and that should be all we need to get this to work correctly. The next thing that we need to add in is a way to turn on the mob farms. So I've created another circle right here, which is going to carry the redstone all the way around. That way we can power these up and get all of this dispenser sending the water to send the mobs down so that they can go through the tube and out into the arena. That's a lot of mobs. So the on-off switch is now connected up to all of the farms, and let's just give it a test by turning this on, and let's see. Are we getting anything? Yep, water's coming off there, there, and there. Excellent. The last thing that I want to add is a bunch of beacons around the perimeter, and these are going to add some benefits to the player, but not all at once. So what we are going to do is have some pistons that are going to block the beacon, and we're going to connect these up to a timer so that they gradually will turn on. And then once it turns on, this will come back and the beacon will activate. So I now have everything hooked up. And the way that this is going to work is that when I flick this lever, what we should see is one activate, then the other, then the other, then the other. And the timings for these is sped up just so that I can test it out. But in the actual time, it's going to be much longer. So let's give it a test. We'll flick the lever. And there's one. We should then start to see this one, then this one, and this one, and then this one should be next. There we go. And finally, there we are. Perfect. So they are all connected up and everything is working. Now I just need to get this corner copied to the rest of the circle. And that's now done. So we can test this out to see whether the full circle of beacons are going to be activated. So this one is going. All right. Got all of these, what is happening over here? We are having some issues. So I figured out what it was. There was just a problem when I was copying and pasting in the corners to where the redstone was not connected up correctly. So that should now be fixed. And let's test it out one more time just to see whether we can get these all to activate. So that one is activated and it should be on all of those. There we go. So now this one is activated. These are activating. Excellent. Excellent. Now got the fourth one and the fifth one. All right, perfect. These are all connected up. So I've been doing some testing and 3.5 stacks will go through to this hopper in about 1.5 minutes, which I think is a pretty good interval for the beacon. So by the time we are 9 minutes in, we should have all of the beacon effects applied. So all of the timers have now been loaded up, and I think what we should do is try running everything just to see what it's going to look like. So let's do this. We're going to turn on this one so that the mob farms are going to be activated. And we're going to give that just a little bit of time so that way everything is looking good. All right, so the mobs are dropping down. We've got mobs over here. We have mobs dropping down over here. And now let's go see what we can do here to turn on the doors. So we're going to open up those and let's see. So the doors are open. Mobs are dropping out right here. So that's going, and it should start to increase the amount of time. Let's also turn on the beacons, and then we're going to go to this middle area, and let's see what will happen if we're right here. We've got mobs spawning up here. Ooh, a bunch of mobs are over there. That's good. So far, this test is looking good, and it looks like the first beacon just opened up. So we now have the speed 2, which is good. And then another 1.5 minutes would go by before the other ones would also start activating. But this tells me that our timing is working fairly well. I think the next thing that we need to test out is to get some platform in place so that way the mobs can come out and we can try fighting them just to see if the timing is enough or if it needs to be a little bit faster. I've gone through and reset the timers. I've geared up and got a few things so that way we can do a little bit of a test combat. I also was noticing that there seems to be something wrong with the doors. So maybe we'll figure that out while we're testing it. Let's get started with this test though and see how it will actually function once everything's going. So the mob farm is turned on. We've got the doors turned on and we've got the beacons turned on. Let's see what happens if we get any mobs coming through yet. No, where are all of the mobs? Who knows? Safe for now, I guess. Looking like we're getting our first bit of mobs here. I guess I am on creative still. Let's set the game mode to survival. There we go. That's what we needed. Get some food. Oh, and we have phantoms. I should have slept before I ran this test. A little bit of an extra challenge. But we're doing okay. So far, so good. All right, we've got the first effect, which is speed. That definitely comes in handy. Oh, having the phantoms really makes it a bit of a challenge. Oh, what am I? All right, I gotta run away, get some food. Definitely good to have speed as the first one. Ah! Run away, run away. Wow, that was really close. Half a heart. Oh! And that was it. That was it. So that was a pretty useful test because we've learned a couple of things. One, we've learned that we should have a bow. Otherwise, it's going to make getting the creepers a little bit of a challenge. Number two, we learned that phantoms could add a pretty interesting twist if we don't sleep before. So that might be something that we think about doing. And the third thing that I realized is that I think we are going to need to do some creeper explosion proofing for the doors. While we didn't have any of the doors blow up while we were doing the test, I did think that could be something that might happen, and I'd rather protect against it than have something explode in the middle of a battle and then just have everything fall apart. But I think now that we've figured out all of the technical parts of this build, the last thing that we are going to do to it is make it look good. And then it'll be time to battle. So we managed to survive without dying through all of the battling of the mobs. And you can see, oh, there is a creeper still behind me. But I am just stuffed full of arrows from all of the skeletons that were in this battle. And it was a ton of fun. I think this was a really fun idea, and this may actually be the most fun type of mob farm that you can have. And if I had looting on the sword, I would have gotten even more resources. If you would like to have this in your own world, I've included a link in the description down below to a world download, so you can definitely check this out and play around with it if you would like. And if you download this world, this is the room where you will spawn into. There will be a book over here which will have instructions on what you need to do. And these levers over here will be everything you need to activate the arena. So this is the door to go out to the arena. You've got this one, which is going to turn on the mob farm so that they'll come down. Over here, you'll have this lever, which will turn on all of the beacons. And then this one is for the doors, which will let the mobs out into the arena. But I think that is where we are going to leave it for today. If you enjoyed today's video, please leave a like. If you want to see more, please subscribe. And until next time, see you later.